Monday, November 24th hit Salem like a quiet earthquake. The hospital, the pub, the past. Nothing stays quiet, not for a single moment. Because this Monday is the episode where every secret cracks open at once, and the shockwaves hit every character we care about. This isn't a normal Monday. This is the day the truth stops hiding. Let's dive in. The episode begins under the cold, fluorescent lights of Salem Hospital, a place meant to heal, now tainted by secrecy and administrative greed. E.J. DiMera walks in with that familiar confidence, the polished politician's stride, the DiMera arrogance masked as concern. He's here to check on Marlena. But the moment he steps into her room, he realizes he has miscalculated. Because Marlena Evans is awake. She's alert. And she is furious. For weeks, the audience has watched her symptoms worsen, her diagnosis delayed, her condition brushed aside as stress or fatigue. And now she knows why. When E.J. begins with his smooth, rehearsed charm, "How are you feeling, Dr. Evans?" Marlena cuts him off. Her voice is sharp, controlled, surgical. She lays everything on the table, his budget cuts, his rushed approval processes, his careless downsizing, his obsession with turning the hospital into a profit machine instead of a safe haven. She makes it clear, her delayed diagnosis of Lyme carditis wasn't an accident. It wasn't bad luck. It wasn't a doctor missing a sign. It was the direct result of E.J.'s decisions. The audience can feel the power shift as Marlena tears down E.J.'s facade piece by piece. Her words are calm, almost too calm, but every one of them hits like a scalpel. She explains that she nearly died because the hospital didn't have the staff or equipment it needed. Because labs weren't calibrated properly. Because essential tests were delayed. Because cost-saving measures were prioritized over lives. And E.J., for once, doesn't have a rebuttal. This confrontation matters deeply, not just because Marlena demands accountability, but because she becomes the first character to publicly challenge E.J. about the hospital's shadow operations. Her words aren't just anger. They are a warning that if E.J. thinks he can hide his research forever, he's wrong. The clock on E.J.'s secret lab, and Rolf's experiment inside it, has officially started ticking. While Marlena confronts E.J. upstairs, another storyline unfolds quietly on the lower floor, a storyline built on misdirection, hidden doors, and the kind of deception only Salem Hospital can deliver. Kayla Johnson meets Belle Black in a private corner of the hospital to give her updates. Belle, worried and exhausted, is bracing for more bad news about her mother. But Kayla surprises her. She explains that she recently investigated E.J.'s new wing herself. She wanted to see what was really going on. Not rely on reports. Not trust E.J.'s word. But physically confirm with her own eyes. What she found was nothing. No irregularities. No red flags. No suspicious medical machinery. No Dr. Rolf lurking in a corner with a syringe. Everything looked perfectly normal. But the audience knows the truth. Kayla walked straight into a staged environment. Mark Green, loyal to E.J.'s project, played his role flawlessly. He answered every question calmly. He kept the paperwork pristine. He smiled, nodded, and never let his eyes flicker toward the off-limits areas. And Dr. Wilhelm Rolf? The mastermind hid himself deep behind locked doors, silent, invisible, waiting for Kayla to leave. That single moment of deception has massive consequences. Because now, Kayla believes the wing is clean. Belle believes the hospital is stable. E.J.'s cover is stronger than ever. And the experiment can move forward without resistance. But the real danger is walking around outside the restricted lab, Leo Stark. Leo, in full gossip mode, cannot resist a mystery, especially one protected by DiMera security and overly polite staff. He wanders the hallway. He tests locked doors. He peers through glass windows. He follows the sound of machinery. And every step he takes brings him closer to a door he was never meant to open. Meanwhile, Gwen zeroes in on him. She confronts him, demanding updates on Dimitri, pretending to care, but really trying to push him out of Salem entirely. The more Leo hangs around the hospital, the more nervous she becomes. Because deep down, Gwen suspects the truth: Dimitri isn't missing. He isn't on the run. He isn't hiding overseas. He is here, right here, in Salem Hospital, inside the enormous crate delivered to EJ's new high-security lab. A crate Gwen has seen. A crate Leo keeps circling. A crate the audience knows is humming for a reason. And the longer Leo stays in Salem, the closer he gets to unlocking a secret EJ can't afford for anyone to discover. Especially not today. The camera shifts from the cold tension of the hospital to the warm, familiar atmosphere of the Brady pub, a place where people usually feel safe. But today, safety is an illusion. Sarah Horton is sitting with Brady and Rachel, laughing lightly, unaware that danger is sitting right in front of her, inside a dessert glass. Earlier, Rachel slipped a spoonful of pistachio ice cream into Sarah's sundae. It was supposed to be a harmless joke, a childish attempt to feel clever, to feel in control of something, anything, after weeks of emotional instability. But pistachios aren't harmless for Sarah. They're deadly. As Sarah lifts her spoon, Rachel freezes. Her eyes widen. Her breath catches. That moment, that split second, tells the audience everything. Rachel didn't think this through. She wasn't trying to hurt Sarah. She was acting out of confusion, out of anger, out of emotional chaos. She reaches out too late. Wait, don't eat that. But Sarah has already taken the bite. And immediately, the world changes. Sarah's reaction is swift, violent, and terrifying. Her throat constricts almost instantly. Her breaths shift from steady to sharp. Her skin pales. She grabs the edge of the table as her body starts to buckle. Her voice fractures as she tries to call out, but barely a sound escapes. She knocks over her water glass, gasping, eyes widening in panic. And this is where the episode takes its darkest turn. Because while Brady rushes to Sarah, shouting for help, calling her name, trying to keep her conscious, the camera moves to Rachel. She's shaking. Her eyes lock onto Sarah collapsing, and something inside her detonates. A buried memory, a suppressed trauma, something she has been carrying silently, unconsciously, for months. It hits her like a punch. Suddenly she's no longer in the pub. She's reliving the night of EJ's shooting. Gun in her hand, her finger on the trigger. The loud crack of the shot. EJ falling to the ground. Kristen screaming. Kristen grabbing her. Kristen telling her, "You didn't see anything. You didn't hear anything. I'll handle it. This isn't a blur. It's not fragmented. It's not confused. It is clear, sharp, undeniable." The memory Rachel has been suppressing, the truth Kristen forced her to bury, finally resurfaces. And it happens at the exact moment Sarah collapses at her feet. This single, horrifying moment turns the entire Damaris storyline upside down. Rachel Black remembers the shooting. She remembers she pulled the trigger. And she remembers that Kristen took the blame. The audience knows instantly, what just came back to Rachel could destroy multiple lives. Chaos fills the pub. Chairs scrape. People shout. Someone calls 911. But all Brady sees is his daughter, and the spoon in her hand. His fear explodes into something messy and desperate. He turns to Rachel, voice trembling with barely contained panic. This isn't the calm, gentle father Brady tries to be. This is a man who thinks he's losing someone he cares about, again. "Rachel, what did you do? Why did you give that to her?" His words hit like gunshots, sharp, loud, overwhelming. Rachel is already on the edge. Her hands are shaking violently. Her breathing is shallow. Her eyes are filling with tears she can't control. Brady keeps going, not out of anger, but because he is terrified. He grabs her shoulders, not roughly, but desperately, trying to get through to her. "Do you know how dangerous that was? Do you know she could die? Why would you do this, Rachel? Why?" And then something snaps inside Rachel. She breaks. Completely. Her crying shifts into sobbing, the uncontrollable kind, the kind that comes from trauma, not guilt. She shakes her head frantically. Her voice comes out choked, panicked. It's like before. It's like when I shot him. Brady freezes. Everything stops. The noise of the pub fades out. Even the camera seems to hold still. Brady crouches in front of her, looking directly into her tear-filled eyes. "What did you say?" he whispers. But Rachel keeps talking, the memory now fully unlocked. "He fell. I saw him fall. I didn't mean to. Mommy said not to tell. She said she would fix it. She said she would fix everything." Brady's entire expression changes. He's no longer angry. He's horrified, because now he understands. Rachel isn't reacting to Sarah's allergic attack. She's reacting to a trauma she's been carrying alone, a trauma she wasn't emotionally equipped to process. The ice cream incident is no longer the problem. The problem is that a child just confessed to shooting E.J. DiMera. A crime Kristen took the blame for. A crime the courts believe was already solved. Brady realizes the stakes instantly, if Rachel remembers clearly. If she starts talking, if this becomes public, EJ's entire life could be shattered. Kristen's legal status collapses, the custody battle reignites, and Rachel herself could be emotionally destroyed. This is not just a family crisis. This is a psychological emergency. Rachel Black is unraveling, and she is unraveling fast. One trauma triggered another. One mistake uncovered a buried crime. One memory is about to ignite a war. Inside the chaos of the pub, paramedics push through the crowd. Brady steps back only when they force him to. Rachel is trembling in a corner. And Sarah, pale, gasping, shaking, is fighting to stay conscious. Minutes later, after epinephrine is administered and Sarah is rushed to the hospital, a fragile calm settles in. Her breathing steadies, the color returns to her face. She opens her eyes and realizes how close she came to dying. But Monday's episode makes something very clear: the recovery is not the headline. The aftermath is, because what this incident reveals is far more dangerous than a food allergy. Truth number 1. Rachel's emotional state is collapsing. Rachel isn't just a troubled child anymore. She's a child carrying trauma, guilt, fear, and a memory so violent it has been poisoning her psyche for months. Her reaction to Sarah's collapse wasn't mischief gone wrong. It was a trigger, a psychological explosion opening the door to everything she forced herself to forget. This means Rachel is not safe, emotionally or mentally. Not for herself, not for others. Truth number 2. Kristen's sacrifice has done more harm than good. Kristen once believed she was protecting her daughter by taking the blame for the shooting. But in reality, she created a wound inside Rachel that never healed. Because children don't just forget trauma. They bury it, they reshape it. It becomes part of them, hiding under the surface until a crisis brings it roaring back. By shielding Rachel from consequences and the truth, Kristen unintentionally locked her daughter in a psychological maze with no exit. And now the walls of that maze are collapsing. Truth number 3. EJ's future is hanging by a thread. This is the biggest shockwave of all. Because a confession from a child, especially one as traumatized and vivid as Rachel's, has legal weight. If Rachel remembers clearly, if she starts talking to anyone outside her family, the entire EJ shooting case could be reopened. Everything EJ has built, his political ambitions, his DiMera power, his public image, is suddenly at risk. And even worse, Kristen's sacrifice could be exposed as a lie. The legal system doesn't look kindly on people who let someone else take the blame for a shooting, even to protect a child. Monday's episode plants all these dominoes in a perfectly straight line. And now, all it takes is one wrong move, one slip, one overheard conversation, for all of Salem to watch them fall. Monday, November 24th isn't a big explosion episode. It's the episode that primes the detonators. Every storyline is pulled tighter, every lie pushed closer to exposure, every character forced toward decisions they cannot undo. Let's break down the major themes and why they matter. Marlena versus EJ, the first crack in his power. Marlena's confrontation is not just a personal attack. It is the beginning of a coordinated narrative shift in Salem. People are no longer afraid to call out EJ DiMera. Her public anger turns him into a liability instead of a leader. This is how scandals begin, with one voice brave enough to speak. EJ may think he has control, but Marlena has just lit the fuse under his entire hospital empire. Kayla and Belle. A false sense of security. Kayla's clean report gives EJ temporary cover. Belle's relief gives EJ breathing room. But the dramatic irony here is massive. The audience knows the truth. The characters do not. This is classic DOOL storytelling: calm on the surface, disaster underneath. The longer Kayla believes nothing is wrong, the bigger the explosion will be when the truth finally erupts. Leo and Gwen. Two people circling a secret they don't understand. Leo is curious. Gwen is nervous. Both are circling the truth, but for opposite reasons. Leo wants answers. Gwen wants distance. The suspense grows each time Leo walks near that crate. The crate viewers know is almost certainly holding Dimitri. This plot is a ticking time bomb. The question is, who will open it first, Leo, EJ, or fate? Sarah and Rachel, the storyline that will define the next arc. Sarah's survival is the turning point. Rachel's breakdown is the fallout. Their collision creates a medical emergency, a psychological crisis, a legal nightmare, and a DiMera scandal waiting to explode. This storyline won't end quickly. It will unravel slowly, painfully, and dramatically, affecting Sarah's marriage, Brady's custody fight, Kristen's future, and EJ's entire position in Salem. The biggest narrative shift? Rachel's recovered memory. This is not a small twist. This is a foundational rewrite of an entire storyline. DOOL doesn't drop a reveal like this unless it plans to use it to reshape multiple character arcs. The shooting is no longer a closed case. It's a reopened wound. Monday's episode doesn't end with an explosion. It ends with instability, the kind that makes the audience lean in, breath held, waiting for the next tremor. Because now, Marlena has regained her power and is no longer afraid to challenge EJ. Kayla believes the lie, giving EJ temporary safety but guaranteeing a bigger fallout later. Leo inches closer to a discovery that could blow open EJ's secret lab. Gwen's panic grows, knowing Dimitri is near and her lies could crumble. Sarah survives, but what happened to her exposes deeper truths. Brady is shaken, realizing his daughter is not just troubled, she's traumatized. And Rachel remembers everything. The gun, the shot, the fall, and the mother who took the blame. This is not the end of a story. It is the beginning of a storm. A storm that, by the end of the week, will hit someone in Salem so hard, they will wish Rachel's memories had stayed buried forever.